All right, so today we're going to dive into something pretty incredible. It's this almost magical power that really skilled writers have to basically conduct our inner world. We're going to explore how they can get us to see, hear, and even feel a story from a bunch of different perspectives all at the same time.
Okay, let me ask you something. And it might sound a little strange. Have you ever been called a pig? Just think about that for a second. When you hear that word, it's more than just an insult, isn't it? It forces your brain to do something. It makes you imagine. You might picture the animal, sure, but for a split second, you might feel that insult on a much deeper, more visceral level. And that trigger, that's exactly what this is all about. Words aren't just letters on a screen. They're like little keys that can unlock our senses. And the best writers, well, they are absolute masters at using these keys to guide our imagination with like surgical precision. So how in the world do they pull this off? Well, it's not actually magic, even though it feels like it. It's a really sophisticated technique that plays on the very wiring of our minds. It's all about creating this totally immersive experience that pulls us out of just one person's head and gets all of our senses involved at once. The official name for this is multisensory perspective. And the core idea is pretty wild. It's about splitting your imagination. A writer can use very specific language to make you see what one character sees, while at the exact same time, you're literally feeling what another character is feeling in their body. The best way to really get this is to look at a killer example. And for that, we are turning to Madeline Miller's incredible novel, Circe. It uses this technique to create an experience that is just, well, it's unforgettable and deeply, deeply visceral. So, for anyone who doesn't know, Circe is a famous character from Greek mythology. In the old stories, she's usually just this flat, kind of scary witch who turns sailors into pigs. But what Miller's novel does is it completely reframes her. It gives Circe her own backstory, her own reasons for doing things, and most importantly, her own powerful voice.
Okay, so we're going to zoom into one of the most intense scenes in the whole book. After Circe's been exiled, a ship's captain attacks her, and in response, she unleashes her power on him, transforming him into what she calls his true self.
Just listen to these words. Miller is writing from Circe's point of view, right? So she's describing what Circe sees and hears, the sounds and the sights of this horrifying transformation. But notice what's happening here. That's only half the story. And this is where it gets brilliant. Just look at this breakdown. We're seeing his chest bulge through Circe's eyes, but the words she chooses, cracked, splintering, they force our imagination to jump right into his body, to feel the snap of his bones and the tearing of his own skin. It's amazing. We are in two places, in two bodies at the exact same time. And it just keeps going, layering these feelings on top of each other. You get the visual of his nose swelling, but that's paired with the sickening feeling of his legs shriveling up. We see him fall, we hear him scream. It is just a masterclass in conducting the reader's imagination, forcing us to be both the spectator and the victim. So you see, it all comes down to the words. Words like cracked and shriveled aren't just for show. They're specifically engineered to trigger what's called our somatosensory system. That's our sense of our own body, where it is in space, what's happening inside, and of course, pain and touch. Miller is literally making us feel this transformation from the inside out. Now, this isn't just some cool, clever trick writers use. There's actually some real science behind why it hits us so hard. So let's take a look at how our brains process all of this when we're deep in a story. Yeah, researchers have actually looked into this. Multiple studies have found that when we feel really immersed in a story, we often report actual physical sensations. You know that gut feeling you get or a tightness in your chest? That's real. And a huge part of feeling that absorbed is that we're unconsciously comparing ourselves to the characters, imagining what it must feel like to be them. There's this idea from a scholar named Emily Trosienko that I think is fantastic. She argues that when we read, our imagination isn't just passively watching a movie in our head. No, it's actively exploring the story's world. And this is the key part, that exploration can be kicked off by the language connected to any character, not just the person telling the story. Okay, get this. There was this really cool experiment that basically proves her point. It's based on Franz Kafka's novel, The Castle. In the book, the main character gets to the snowy village at night, and he absolutely cannot see the castle he's trying to get to. So researchers asked readers to just draw what they were imagining. What do you think they drew? Yep, they drew the castle. Even though the main character couldn't see it, their minds filled in the blanks. And why? It's because we can feel the character's mind straining to see it, to imagine it, so our own imagination just kicks in and does the work. We explore with them, even beyond what they can perceive.
Okay, so cool writing trick, right? But so what? Why does any of this matter outside of a book? Well, this is where a fascinating literary device becomes a really, really essential social tool. It's got major real-world implications. Let's just circle back to Circe for a second. By forcing us to experience both her perspective and the captain's, Miller does something profound. She doesn't just show us a simple act of revenge. She makes us feel the whole messy, complicated reality of it. Circe's rage, her power, and yeah, maybe even a little bit of regret, all at the same time. And that's the big takeaway here. Reading fiction that does this kind of complex, multi-perspective work isn't just entertainment. It's like taking your brain to the gym. It's not passive. It's active mental training for a skill we desperately need in the real world. And what is that skill? Well, it's empathy. It's the ability to genuinely try to imagine a situation from someone else's point of view, especially when it's completely different from our own. This kind of reading flexes that exact muscle, making us better at understanding the people around us. And I mean, let's be real for a second. In the world we live in today, which can feel so divided, where people can't seem to see eye to eye, this skill has never, ever been more valuable. The ability to step outside of our own heads isn't a luxury. It feels like a necessity. So, I guess I'll just leave you with this. The next time you pick up a novel, pay attention to where the author is leading your imagination. And ask yourself, in a world that could always use a little more understanding, what story out there might just have the power to change your perspective?